Context. Okay, let's talk about context. So I feel like context is becoming such a popular word that is really, really important to kind of take a step from first principles and really kind of define why context is so important. Just one more time, and apologies for those of you that are listening to me again here, but models are non-deterministic. They are also stateless. They forget everything, right? And so whether it's agents or just a chat session or anything else, what you put in to those models determines everything. But a context window is not finite. And the more you shove in there, the more it deteriorates. You get to a dumb zone, right? And so what you put into the context of those models, into the window, into what you're giving those models, is really thought of as context and context engineering, which is managing what you put in there, how you put it, at what sequence, and why you're doing it in order to achieve your goals, right? And so when you think about context, there is context engineering, which is kind of managing what you put into these models. And then on the other end, there is actually your source of truth, your grounding, right? And when I'm talking about context, I'm really talking about both things, but I'm really thinking through like the things that ground your company, the definition of who you are as a company and what's important to you and what's true, right? And so if you think of what we're trying to do, which is influence and win the hearts and minds of both buyers as well as engines, because those engines and models influence our buyers, there's no way for us to influence something if we don't have a source of truth, if we don't have grounding. And that's why context is so important. And we've been working with hundreds of companies. I've got to tell you, I don't think there's even a single one that we started an engagement that had all this context perfectly mapped and aligned. So think about that for a second. So that's why I spend so much time on this, because mapping this the right way, you have all the tools already, you have all the models. You don't need to buy any platform. You don't need to be a customer of ours to do this. And so this is where we're going to spend so much time. It truly makes a huge difference. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is build a complete picture of your company, okay? So I'm going to go through a lot of the nodes of context, but a lot of them are really informed by product marketing first principles, how marketing works from first principles. So a lot of these nodes are things that in the past, before AI, we maybe had different teams in our company that would do this, or we would subscribe to analysts, or we would, actually hire a consultant to go survey a market and do all these things, right? And now they're all our fingerprints. And so it's really powerful. But what we're trying to figure out is like, okay, let's define, first of all, your company and your fundamentals. And we're trying to cast a really wide net here. So you got company overview, business model. We're going to go really deep into product and features, and then I'll show you how all these nodes kind of connect. And then we're going to go look at market and audience, and then signals and coverage. And that's really around what are the trusted sources in your space and your domain overall, so you can kind of understand how they're talking about both the personas, the products, the buying categories. And then we're going to look at also your web presence and kind of where you are right now as well. So, okay. Before we go deeper into this kind of process, I want to show you this map. And this is the entire map of all the nodes from first principles of how we think about context. That doesn't mean it is the super comprehensive thing. This is the only thing you're ever going to need to do, or that you need everything that's in here. But I want to walk through some of these nodes, and I promise you this is not meant for you to perfectly read it. If people have questions, they can post in the chat here. But what we found in working with all these companies and executing against this strategy and creating content and influencing AI is that the quality of your context drives the quality of your strategy. It drives the quality of your execution, and it drives the quality of the insights that you have about everything else. And so, Let's think through the brand. There's the entity side of things, which we talked about a little bit. And those are, especially for companies that have been around a little bit longer, many companies have gone through a rebrand. They have a really interesting founder journey. There's people involved in the company. There's a timeline of things that happen, right? There might be events that happen, like going public, or merging with a company, or acquiring another company, or pivoting the company. And all those things are really important context to have, or at least to understand. And what I recommend you do is, as you're, obviously the earlier you are as a company, the less there's going to be here, and the more you're going to spend time on mapping out your market. But think of this as just doing deep research for now. Don't think of this as like exactly how to compress and distill. What I like to do is I run a deep research process skill that I have that's very similar to the skill that we use in our platform. And what it does is just goes wide and then deep, and creates essentially these research questions to go investigate in order to go map this out. And in doing that, it then translates that into what I call a study guide. And so that's what I recommend for each one of these areas, to create one or many study guides. And these study guides should be actually something you read. Don't skip this part, because AI is not meant to allow you to not learn. It's meant to accelerate how you learn. Okay, so now there is messaging. And messaging is really around how you communicate as a brand, and how your company and your people communicate, right? And so voice, tone, positioning, terminology, themes, anything else that might be relevant. And then there is product. And you're going to start to see here, especially in product market audience, how there's so many dependencies here, right? But a brand sells products. And what you want to do is define your entire product catalog. And I know this sounds wild, and I can show you some examples here of how we've done that for let's say like Vercel. So Vercel has 32 different segments, and each one of them, they have at least one or more offerings and products. And you want to also understand pricing and packaging. And then any technology or anything that's really relevant around what you do, like kind of like the surface area of this this area of your product, right? So I'll give you an example. We're working with some observability companies. Well, there's the entire ecosystem of the cloud providers, right? Or if your product allows users to select different models, well, that's a lens through which it's pretty relevant for you to define this here. Okay, so and we'll make parts of this available, and the goal is to make as much of this available as possible, as well as kind of send some follow-ups to make it easier for folks to use this and actually put it into action. Then when you get into the market, I would say this is where I spend most of my tokens, because internally, a lot of the context prior to this are things that hopefully, unless you're a brand new startup just getting started, hopefully you have a ton of sales calls. Hopefully you have a ton of internal docs. You have a lot of stuff. And so you're almost applying that deep research into your internal stuff, not your external stuff. When you start to get into market and audience, that flips usually, right? You start to balance out both your internal understanding of the market and some of the information, but you want to validate a lot with the external part of the market. And so the first thing you want to do is kind of define your broader domain. So let's say you're a security company. That's the kind of like the bigger domain here. And inside that domain area, let's say security, and you might be part of, if you're a bigger company, multiple domains, there's what I call buying categories or segments, right? And depending how mature your product is, that buying category and how you define that buying category or that segment is going to be different. If you are a smaller startup focused on a slice of the market, the broader market, then the definition of this category is going to be so different than a massive company, right? If you're competing against, let's say, a HubSpot, well, HubSpot has a massive surface area around like CRM and services and support and marketing automation. And so you might only be competing with a HubSpot for a slice of that. So you trying to define your market as the entirety of the thing is counterproductive. But you want to be aware of all the players, right? So you want to understand like where you play, how you define your container within this broader domain and this broader buying category. And you might have multiple containers, if you will, or multiple segments that you're trying to win. And you want to understand the relationship between all these things, right? What's adjacent, what's emerging. And by the way, all this stuff AI is incredible at, okay? Then you want to start to, inside all of these containers and segments, to define who the actual players are. And I'll go through some examples here in a second. This is really, really important because this mapping gives you so much insight, and it's also going to start to help you understand what each player in your category and in your space does, where you're better at, where they are better, what are their features, where their messaging, their positioning, depending how many you're doing here. For Vercel, for example, we did this process for about 200 different companies across 32 different segments, right? You might want to go as deep as creating an entire context kit, if you will, for every single one of your competitors, as if you were actually working for that company. But I wouldn't start there. Don't boil the ocean quite yet. And there's a lot you can do with deep research, and all of this is near free to start. And if you do it right, it's not an insane amount of tokens either. Okay, now comes the audience. So the audience, there's a couple of different aspects to audience that I think people confuse or mix them together. So the first thing is ICP. If you're, if you don't know where ICP is, then I think that's an issue. But that aside and joke aside, figuring out the kinds of company you're going after. And that's very different from the type of people and roles that you're trying to serve, right? Now, if you're a direct-to-consumer, we work with some direct-to-consumer companies, like in the food and health and wellness space. How you define ICP and personas might be quite different. Whereas B2B, which I think most of you might be in that, then the way to define your ICP is really kind of the attributes and qualities of the types of companies, whether it's by size, the segment of the market that they operate, industry, whatever those qualities and attributes are that make up who the kind of company that if they came through the door, you would want to sell to and you could actually serve them, right? And this is where I think the less specific you are, the worse everything else is. Because it's kind of like the saying, the best content is written or created for one person in mind. And so it's kind of the same thing here. If you can define it as almost like the qualities of an individual company, then that really will help you. So then you get into the personas. And the personas are not just a job title here. Really, there's a lot more to the personas, because you really kind of want to understand some of the context of that persona and kind of the mindset and where that persona is kind of experiencing, right, within the broader domain that your company is in, right? And so if you're creating an AI coding tool for developers at large enterprises, that's very different than if you're selling an AI tool for a founder, right? And so what the personas are influenced by the ICP itself and the definition of the types of companies, but you're going deeper into the things they care about, their pain points, what kind of questions they have, what are the reasons they get promoted and fired, and you really want to kind of map out their jobs to be done. And there's entire books and a ton on this. So go do research on jobs to be done. And really kind of define and learn and internalize a lot of this. But what you want to do then is start for every single persona, map out the core jobs to be done within the context of your broader company. And this is something that's really important here, is that this is really sequential. So if you don't have your company context, and then you don't do your product and your surface area and what you actually sell, and then you don't map out your market and then do some of the audience mapping somewhat in parallel, there's a lot of dependencies on using the context that you've already generated throughout, right? And so I can't emphasize this enough. If you try to do all of this in parallel, the results are going to be far worse than if you do it in waves with dependencies. And then you're actually compounding some of this knowledge into the next part of the research that you're doing. So that's why it's really, really important to do this whole thing in a batch with waves. The way we do it when we create a workspace, which is really kind of warming up the entire context area, that agentic run is about 2 to 3 hours actually of just agents parallelizing things, but doing a ton of work there. And then the last thing is really mapping out the buyer journey. And it's going to start to be important later on when we talk about mapping your the questions that buyers have, which is what you want to track and what you want to create coverage against with content for AEO and AI visibility as well, right? Okay, so how are we doing? I know this is a lot, and there's a reason why this is so important. The sources are important, but they're important for different reasons here. The sources are really both what you're going to use as you start to create content, and it's also how you're going to filter and probe AI answers to know how these source types are thinking about you. And so it's used in alignment. But perhaps one of the most important things is that these sources are used in your deep research, which is what you use for everything. You're going to use deep research agents here for everything, for research, for creation, for opportunity finding, for execution, and everything else here. Okay, we got a question here about how do we go about mapping the buyer journey. I know it's a broad question, but want to understand different approaches. So buyer journey, the issue with mapping buyer journeys is when you don't have what your product does and the surface area of your product within the context of the broader market and how analysts, reviewers, peers, and experts define your market and what they're buying, right? And then if you don't have the different jobs to be done, then the buyer journey, it starts to become very bland and very generic and too generalized, right? And so that's why I would actually do the buyer's journey almost last here and really start to define the buyer journey within the context of a specific product surface area so that it's more relevant, right? And then you can kind of try different approaches here, but it's ultimately the awareness and educational part that leads into being more problem aware and then going into kind of what kind of things that they're evaluating against, what are the attributes in their buying criteria, and then using those same buying criterias and trying to map out also trigger points throughout. And so there's a lot here also within the jobs to be done framework and methodology that if you do research will help with mapping out the buyer journey as well in terms of buying triggers and pain points and things like that. Awesome. One thing I will say on that we're going to touch on as we talk about mapping the questions for every stage of the journey so that you start to measure AI visibility and your presence against that is that all of this context you can apply as context modifiers as well. And so later on, there are different ways that you can start to apply modifiers for different personas, and within these personas, all of this can be translated into a taxonomy, and that I can show you kind of how we do it for a couple of different customers as well here. Awesome. As you're going through this process with sources, do try to distinguish between what you would consider a tier 1, 2, and 3 source, and because that's going to be a lot of what these deep research agents are going to start to use, and they're going to start to really bias towards like your tier 1 and 2 as opposed to tier 3, right? All right, I know that was a lot. We're going to speed through the rest here.